when I went through that video of Henry Mills in my last video, containing all of the quotes from the different people talking about just how wrong the Abu Dhabi fraud was, it reminded me to do a video that I've been intending to do for a long while. And that is to go through the driver audios. Now, 1 month on after the Abu Dhabi fraud, Sky Sports F1 had to produce this. Okay, they had to do it, and the reason they had to do it was because the world was still saying this is wrong, this is fraudulent, something has to change. And if you remember, the FIA was supposedly going, oh, well, we're going to look into this and we're going to do a report. And the world was still expecting them to have to do the right thing. Despite the fact that Mercedes had withdrawn in the appeal, all right, the FIA are still required to right the wrongs. They are the governing body. They have a requirement to ensure that justice is done. And clearly they didn't, because it was a facade. The entire report, as I've broken down, was a facade. But what the media had to do, the mind conditioning machine, it had to then try to convince everybody to accept it and to move on. So they produced this Abu Dhabi 1 month on F1 show special. Now, you can see there it's queued up at 6 minutes 57. I'm going to lead into this with just finishing off what Johnny Herbert says. Then Lazenby gives a bit of a monologue, and they go to their edited driver, kind of the driver onboards. What the drivers are saying, they're a mashup of what the drivers are saying during that safety car period. And what I'm going to do is go through and explain and demonstrate, well, I'll evidence exactly the way that they've mashed those driver audios up so that they don't reflect the truth. They lead you to believe it to be a certain way. Firstly, I'm going to upload this one. I'll show you what this video is all about, and then I'm going to upload it, make sure it doesn't get blocked on the copyright, and then I'm going to do the video which will demonstrate exactly when these drivers actually said it, and just show you that this narrative that we're being fed here is a fraudulent contrivance. So, but let's just get into this first anyway, and you'll see what I mean. So, Johnny Herbert.
On, but you don't then change everything with the rules to allow the race to go green for that one lap when it's totally unfair. And then the result we got at the end of it, which is very unfortunate, was totally wrong.
Okay, well, let's go back much more on this and break it down for you from the moment that Nicholas Latifi put it in the wall at turn 14. That brought out the safety car. And at that point, Lewis Hamilton had an 11-second lead. So 5 laps remaining.
It was 12, okay? It was almost 12. It was 11.8, 11.9 seconds. We'll do it from the moment Latifi put it into the wall. We won't do it from the start of that Nicholas Latifi lap, where Nicholas Latifi's race engineer told him it has to be this lap. We won't include that bit, and we won't show you Nicholas Latifi's onboards for the previous 5 laps, whereby he goes round turn 14 in 4th gear each time, but on that lap that he crashed, he selects the lower gear of 3rd gear and dumps the throttle. Now, for those of you that know how to drive and know how that works when you're driving a rear-wheel drive car, that's how you crash a car. But don't you worry about that. We're not going to go through that bit in this video. We're going to go through what Lazenby is telling us.
And then the uncertainty in race control quickly appeared to escalate. It caused confusion not only on the pit wall.
The uncertainty in race control appeared to escalate. It caused confusion. Look at how they are trying to present. Look at this. Uncertainty and confusion. Now, what I want you to bear in mind, we're gonna hear Brundle afterwards explain it. He'll once again talk about meetings and sub-meetings and agreements. You're not allowed to have them. In any sport, the competitors are not allowed to get together beforehand and contrive the ending of that sport. That is not a sport. What you do, you participate in that sport, you compete in that sport in accordance with the rules and regulations of that sport. That's all you do. So any meetings that took place where they agreed a certain type of ending demonstrates fraud of all involved. Every single one of those that are complicit with that is guilty of sport fraud. They don't want you to view it like that, though. They do not want you to consider it that way in any way, and that is why they present it like this and use the language and terminology that they use. But that is the simple fact of it. Competitors of a sport cannot discuss beforehand how the sport is going to be contrived to be ended. Now, it is highly likely we do not have evidence of these meetings and sub-meetings that Martin knows and has told us have taken place. So we have to make assumptions, educated assumptions, based on what we know did happen and the reactions of those teams and competitors, which demonstrate the likelihood of what has really taken place here. And what that actually demonstrates is not confusion. It's not as things become. What did he use about race control?
An 11-second lead. So 5 laps remaining, and then the uncertainty in race control.
Uncertainty in race control. You see, like I say, we have to make some assumptions because we are not party to these meetings, sub-meetings. And then, on from those meetings and sub-meetings, you get plots hatched. So, what is likely to have happened is all of those drivers would have been in a drivers' meeting. All of the team bosses, obviously, all the CEOs of the teams, they know what the situation is. But the drivers would have likely to have been briefed, whereby it had been made clear to them that, look, lads, this is the final race of the season. We're probably going to attract the biggest audience that Formula One has ever had, which is absolutely great for the sport. Great for you all, isn't it, lads? Yeah, it's amazing that our sport has now become so popular. Great. Okay. Now, it would be great if, as a sport, we can retain a lot of these viewers that are perhaps watching the sport for the first time, because that is going to only grow the sport of Formula One, grow its appeal, and that is going to make the sponsors very happy, the team owners very happy, and ultimately the sport benefits, all the teams benefits, all the employees of the team benefit, because obviously there'll be the sport will grow in terms of its monetary value, and that will help everybody financially. So what we want to try to do, if we can, is try to ensure that the new people that are watching the sport are enjoying it, they're entertained, they understand what's going on. But we don't want the kind of, if we can avoid it, the sorts of things where maybe if they watch it, they'll go, yeah, that's not exciting. I was hoping that it would be exciting, but it ended as a bit of a damp squib. So, you know, we know things such as like safety car finishes. A lot of we know from the social media interactions, a lot of people switched off when that kind of thing happens. So where possible, what we like to try to do in this event is try and ensure that it ends under green, so that we don't get that sort of scenario, because what we don't want to turn off these new viewers before, you know, they've even had that much of a chance at their first viewing of the event. So as long as we're all on the same page here, and all the lads are going, yeah, okay, see where you're getting at. Okay, so if where possible, we'll try and end the race under green. That is likely to be the kind of message given to the drivers, right? And the lads would have just gone, oh, yeah, it sounds reasonable, that does. It doesn't say we'll break the rules to make it that way, okay? But it's just a general understanding that, yeah, the viewers, where possible, would like to see a racing finish, okay? Where possible. And everybody's in agreement with that, not a problem. Doesn't mean that they agree to the rules being broken, but they've got it in their head, the seed has been planted, that, okay, the eyes of the world are on us. People aren't going to necessarily buy into the notion of a safety car finish. Where possible, we could do with it being a racing finish. Yeah, okay, we get that, fine. So when it's then unfolding, they've got that in their head. And then on from that is then their reaction to the unfolding situation. So, with that in mind, knowing that you've got the agreement of the drivers to that notion of, where possible, a racing finish, okay, the lad's already prepared for that. Red Bull, Mercedes, they are likely to have then gone down a path and hatched the plan, because that turns the event into a last lap shootout. Yay! Yay! Just what is going to excite the kiddies. The World Championship being decided on the last lap of the last Grand Prix of the season. You couldn't make it up, could you? Unless you manufactured it that way. How do you manufacture it that way? Well, what you do, you get a car to crash close to the end of the race, to cause a safety car, to cause a bunching of the field, and then when you restart that race, everybody's all packed together, nobody's got a 12-second lead to overcome, and then they're racing wheel to wheel on the last lap. Woohoo! Okay, that's what you do. Quite simple, isn't it? So you crash somebody close, and then you make it so close that you're only going to get one lap of racing. But what they didn't factor in was, what if the car catches fire? And then, because it's caught fire, you've got to put the fire out. That takes extra time. Because you've used a fire extinguisher, that has actually put more debris on the track. That is going to take even more time to sweep that away. Oh, we've ran out of time to be able to validly restart this. Now what? Oh, now we're going to need to break the rules. Keep it quiet, lads. Go along with it. You all know what we said. Who contrived that? Well, you have to build it up. You have to get the commentators to make people believe it's even possible. So they're in on it. F1 TV constructing the footage. They're diverting our attention to various things. They're clearly in on it. All of the teams not calling out the rules being broken properly, being very candid in what it is that they're actually saying, not explicitly revealing what the rules and regulations are actually for and what is actually taking place when they're broken. So you've got the likes of Red Bull and you've got Mercedes. You've got Toto Wolff in there, okay? Oh, he secured his $177 million for the Constructors' Championship, being uncontested by Red Bull by retiring Sergio Perez's car, meaning that their lead in the Constructors' Championship could not be overtaken. That was what Mercedes got out of it. They sacrificed Lewis Hamilton's championship for it. Red Bull did nothing wrong. Red Bull played some clever cards. Yeah, just stay within close enough to him, Max, whereby he can't pit, you can. You get the fresh tyres. So when we restart, you'll be able to overtake him. The championship will be yours. Yeah, just wait till the end of the race. Yeah, there's going to be something exciting happening. Go back to the start of the race. Go back to all what the drivers were saying. Is there going to be another tyre twist in this, Crofty, when McLaren, with the Mercedes engine, supplied by Toto Wolff, had a slow puncture as part of the tyre narrative? When Nicholas Latifi put it into the wall, because he was told it had to be this lap, who are supplied with the Mercedes engine by Toto Wolff. Yes, it was all contrived, and the governing body have to break the rules of the sport to make it that way. All of the teams, all of the drivers have to be complicit. They all benefit because they have to keep quiet to keep the global watching audience in the dark. And then the FIA stewards, who are independent of the FIA, they're FIA stewards they're the stewards that the FIA appoint to make the refereeing decisions in the Grand Prix. And then when you appeal to those, they have to then use the FIA rules and cross-reference them with what it is you're appealing about and apply them appropriately. Oh, they didn't do that. But the FIA claim that the decisions of the stewards are independent of the FIA. No, they're not. They had to break the rules as well. All of this had to happen, and not one form of media has ever revealed it. So we'll go back to Lazenby's narrative, who is then going to get us into the mashup of the driver audios. All right, so bear in mind the meetings and sub-meetings that have taken place. Therefore, the drivers having in their minds the notion of not finishing behind the safety car, and use that to put into context what it is they're saying and how they are saying it. These people are trying to mash it up to present it as being confusing.
Second lead. So 5 laps remaining, and then the uncertainty in race.
Uncertainty and confusion. Right? Now, the uncertainty is because it's not going to plan. The plan being a car crashed, you clear it up, you carry out the mandatory procedure, and that leaves us 1 lap of racing. Just 1 lap of racing. And had Nicholas Latifi's car not caught fire, that's what they'd have probably been able to achieve. There would have been none of us able to say that they cheated. What we could have done, which would have been labelled conspiracy theorists, would have been said, oh, did Latifi crash on purpose? Was this another crashgate? In the same manner that Piquet Jr. crashed on purpose to cause a safety car situation so that Alonso could win in Singapore 2008, which nobody believed, nobody accepted was the truth until the guy said, I had to crash on purpose because they told me to. But you know what? What we do in this world, we don't find somebody guilty of a crime only if they say, yes, it was me, I did it. No, what we do, we look at the evidence. And even if somebody doesn't admit to the crime, if the evidence demonstrated that something clearly has taken place that is wrong and they are party to that or are the guilty party, there is an appropriate punishment for their role within that situation, which is a crime, which is a fraud. This isn't a mistake. You don't make mistakes of this magnitude. You don't get this many people making mistakes. Even the notion of teams getting together and contriving an ending, agreeing to an ending, which isn't agreeing to breaking the rules. The fact that even a meeting like that has taken place demonstrates contrivance, demonstrates there is a motive behind what is taking place. It's money. Money in terms of everybody, but then those that have perpetrated it, well, you've got Red Bull, you've got Mercedes, maybe the German team, Toto Wolff, want to protect Michael Schumacher's legacy by depriving Hamilton of that. Red Bull are just filthy anyway, obviously clearly wanting to benefit Max Verstappen. You've got those in the FIA that are quite happy for it to be contrived that way. Are they pro Max Verstappen? Are they anti Lewis Hamilton? Are they racist as well? Or is it, and it's likely to be a combination, and these motives will vary from person to person. Some of them it'll be racist motives, some of them it'll be about money, some of them it'll be about making sure that the new poster boy of the sport, Max Verstappen, is the boy that wins. Some of them it'll be a case of, at the time maybe, it may have been a case of, well, what we need to have now is a new rivalry. But then what we then see in the aftermath is this propping up of Max Verstappen, presenting Max Verstappen as being the greatest thing we've ever witnessed in the sport, which is just obscene. All right. So bear all that in mind, because these are the dynamics of what is actually taking place. And view these messages within that context, but also understand that we are being presented with them as a narrative, to present it as being uncertainty and confusion. And even the drivers don't really know what's going on, and even the drivers are saying that race control is getting it wrong. And I will demonstrate exactly what the drivers are saying when, and demonstrate that this, what you're about to see, is a fraudulent contrivance. On from these bits of driver footage, you're going to hear Martin Brundle's explanation of it, a bit from Damon Hill. So you'll hear what the bullshit is with that as well. But anyway, let's carry on.
Control quickly appeared to escalate. It caused confusion not only on the pit wall, but with the drivers too. This is some of the team radio that we didn't have access to on the night, but gives a fascinating take on what it felt like from the cockpits of those involved.
So we have a double yellow, exit turn 14.
Safety car deployed, Max.
Daniel, medium or soft? There is 5 laps to go.
Let's go soft.
Daniel, we're box.
Yep, box.
So strap mode 1, strap
I
mode 1,
box.
negative.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, copy that. And then
Stuff on the track.
they got to let you.
And they did the fire thing.
Yeah.
Extinguisher is the word I was looking for.
Extinguisher, roger that.
What's the situation behind
So, situation is, Verstappen has pitted, he had a free pit stop, we would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining when you cross the line. So this field has to bunch, and then they have to send lap cars through, so it may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be, once they've sorted out all the order. This is going to take a while to sort out.
With new tyres?
And copy Lewis, we would have lost track position if we had pitted.
When I go through these, you'll see that where they're overlaying the audio to where the car's location is on track, it's not in the same place at all. I'll demonstrate that in a second. Some of you will see my video where the 20-second interaction between Max Verstappen and Giampiero Lambiase, where he says, cancel that, lap cars will not be allowed to overtake. Typical decision. It's classic. I'm not surprised. That whole thing takes 20 seconds and takes place between it actually, because there's a bit of a lag. All right, they put a lag in before playing us the audio on the driver cam to filter out any swearing. Is what it is. But what we see on the driver cam is that conversation taking place from turn 5 down the big long straight to turn 6. Keep that in mind. They play it to us as a condensed version that's just 12 seconds long, having taken out the pauses, and they play that to us on lap 56 to make the audience believe that Red Bull are being hard done by. But they play that to us after Max has turned turn 9 and as he's going through turn 10 and 11. Watch what they do on this one, a bit further on from this.
And his back markers need to get out of the way. They should unlock themselves.
Michael wants to get this race restarted. He should let us through.
If Michael wants to get this race restarted, why are you phrasing it like that, Sebastian? Sebastian, you're in 11th place. What's the concern for you about the race restarting? Doesn't matter to you, does it?
Stay behind safety car. Giving massive advantage to some people.
Yeah, we should unlap and get the job done until they retire the car. Because if not, it's going to be too late.
It's going to be too late, says Alonso. Why are you so bothered about it, Fernando? Why are these drivers so concerned about the restart? What conversations have they been party to?
How many cars are behind me and in between us?
5 cars between you. The field still hasn't bunched.
How many laps left?
There'll be 3 when you cross the line.
I mean, they need to start the procedure now.
Max, those lap cars are now being allowed to overtake.
So you've got Alonso being projected to be, the expert Alonso, because he's been in the sport. So, they need to do this now. No, Alonso, there's still a car on the track that hasn't been recovered yet.
Cars are now allowed to overtake.
Are not, sorry, cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Oh, they're not going to overtake actually. They're not.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
See, Max actually says that at the end of this straight. And this is where they're showing it at the start of the straight. That's not how it... I'll show you when I do the next video. I'll show you exactly how long these messages take and where they're actually played out. And this is just a mashup.
Very, very strange. Very unfair. It's not my race, these guys, and I will have to race them.
He's not going to allow us to unlap ourselves.
Very unfair. It's not his race. And he'll have to race him. Now his race he's in third. He's got to race second, hasn't he? But he can't race second because there's two cars in between. But they're trying to protect. Max against Lewis isn't my race, but I'll have to race him. But they don't really make it clear, do they? But there's marshals on the track here, okay, having still been sweeping, and then the safety cars come round, so they have to wait there by the barrier, by the side of the track, okay, because they don't want to be there on the track or out in the middle of the track sweeping still when the safety car snake's coming by. Still marshals.
Understood.
Just let it.
And they're playing, whilst the marshals are departing, they're playing the notion of lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, and Fernando Alonso laughing as they're showing us this. That's not where Fernando was saying this.
Just through and start the race. There's still lower debris down there.
Why is Sebastian saying just let us through and start the race? Why is Sebastian saying that's not in the rules, Sebastian? What have you been party to?
And copy that, Lewis.
I don't understand why he's not letting us through. It's just been...
Well, on lap 57, because they're claiming it's on lap 57, if they let you through now, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Well, that's a safety car finish. So, why are you saying that on lap 57, Sebastian? You know you're on lap 57. The unlapping procedure hasn't taken place. This dictates a safety car finish. Sebastian, you should be a stickler for the rules. You're German. You should know this. Now, evidently, there's some drivers that don't understand, all right? Just like there's a lot of people that play sports and they've never read the rule book cover to cover, and they don't necessarily know what the rules are. They know enough to play the sport and play within the rules and know what they'll get penalised for by the referee, but they won't necessarily know every rule of the sport, and they won't necessarily know the reason why every rule of the sport exists. And that applies to some of the lads that are in motor racing. All right, they might not have actually thought it through and analysed, why do we do the unlapping? Oh, have they themselves ever been in a position whereby they're racing against whoever they're racing against, the leaders come round and just lap them, but not quite the guy that's in front of the leader now that they're actually in the race with. Now there's a crash, now there's a safety car, and the guy that you are actually racing against, he disappears off around the track and joins up with the back of the safety car snake as you are now held back behind the leader. Before we go racing again, we need to clear up the incident that caused the deployment of the safety car. Then we have to carry out the mandatory procedure, which is releasing that lapped car or those lapped cars, giving them the opportunity to also make it around the track to join up with the end of the safety car snake. Restoring sporting fairness to everybody, wiping out all of the previously built up advantages between everybody. Because the guy that you were in a race with, right, he's disappeared off around the track. He's caught the guy that was in front of him that you also wanted to catch as well. You were deprived of doing that because of the procedure, of the protocol of safety car deployed. That comes out and picks up the leader. Everybody holds station behind the leader. Those in front of the leader carry on around the track and link up with the back of the safety car snake. Unless you've been in that situation, you might not have actually realised that, oh, by being held back behind the leader, This ruined my race relative to the guy that I was racing against. And this is the purpose of this procedure. Plus, they might have had somebody like Brundle gaslighting them. Oh, in comes the expert into the drivers' meeting, everybody, and he'll tell you it's optional, but it's normally on a wet day where they don't. Oh, is that what it is, Martin? Martin will know. Martin will know. We'll just listen to that liar. That could also be a dynamic. Anyway, we'll carry on with this mashup.
So he's going to let 4 cars through.
He's going to let 4 cars through, is he? You seem quite calm when you're saying that, Bono. Is it Bono that's saying that? What do Mercedes know? They're in on the plot, aren't they? Michael! No, Michael, no, that is so not right. The script. Yeah, again, not revealing, not explaining that this is not acceptable. This is the skew. This is breaking the rules. Oh, Mercedes will think it's not right. Red Bull will think they're being hard done by. There's confusion. It's all part of the mashup narrative.
Everybody behind you will stay in position. Yeah, so everybody up to Vettel are allowed to overtake Hamilton. Okay.
The regulations will never be applied so as to impede sporting competition. Oh, but everybody's going along with that. Everybody's acting in breach of the regulations, in breach of the FIA International Sporting Code.
You're told to overtake. You can overtake. Yep. You can overtake Hamilton. Yep.
Okay. Safety car has the green light.
Yep. You can overtake.
What are these 2 guys doing? They are not unlapping themselves. They need to go.
Restart like this. They restart like this.
There's Ferrari. Yeah, we're in 3rd, Carlos. They're going to restart like that. We can't challenge for 2nd. Are you okay with that, are you, Ferrari? Yeah, Ferrari are complicit with that.
1 for the restart.
There's cars overtaking the safety car.
Not us. Stay where you are. Stay where you are.
So there's Lance Stroll.
I don't understand why I shouldn't be able to overtake the...
See, Lance Stroll knows that if you've been lapped, because he's been lapped before, that you get to unlap. Yeah, when this has happened to me before, you get to unlap. Why not now?
Safety car. Yes, it's been manipulated, man.
Oh my!
Right, I'm just going to turn the volume down on this particular bit because I've had videos blocked on copyright because of just that audio. Woohoo! Oh my lord, Max Verstappen, you are the world champion, all that bullshit.
It's Lewis, absolutely speechless. Best checker flag, we'll explain what happened, we'll explain later.
Yeah, man, what?
So there's Lance's race engineer. Quiet, Lance, we'll explain later, Yeah, man, what the...
What they did with letting cars through. Obviously, I wasn't really in that, anyways. But it seems strange.
Yeah, it was a bit unusual.
A bit unusual, was it, McLaren? The McLaren race engineer. It was a bit unusual. Yeah, Zach Brown is getting his reward for his compliance within that fraud. Yeah, all right, McLaren. We'll make sure you get a few constructors' championships out of this. Try and gift Max the drivers' championships where you can, but you'll get the prize money for the constructors' prize. That was a bit unusual.
Fortunately, that pit stop at the end, which I think would have been a good idea, didn't work because they only let through some of the cars.
But why did they not let us go straight away?
Because Sebastian, and again, as a German lad, you should have understood this, because you're not thick. They were clearing up the car that was on the track. You know, since Jules Bianchi died back in 2014, they realised that driver safety is paramount, and what we don't want is cars crashing into cranes that are on the track, because the drivers don't come out of the situation very well when that happens. So they've got an obligation, as the sport, the governing body of the sport, they have got a legal obligation to deal with the incident in accordance with health and safety protocol. Because if another driver was to die and the FIA were found culpable for not reacting in the appropriate manner to make that situation as safe as possible for those competitors, for the marshals, for everybody associated with that, then the FIA are actually culpable legally. People can be imprisoned for their role if they are negligent, which has led to a loss of life or severe injury to somebody. People can go to prison for that. So there is a requirement to ensure, and this is the clerk of the course and the race director, to ensure that the track is cleared prior to these then unlapping procedures taking place. The clerk of the course has to declare the track safe. So, Sebastian, why are you now saying, why didn't he let us go straight away? Well, there's still a car that needs clearing up, Sebastian. So why are you saying this?
This is what I still don't understand.
Glad I'm not a part of that. Whatever just happened, it seemed pretty up.
Yeah. Well, what happened, Daniel, is that meeting that you were party to, where the teams and the drivers all agreed that, yeah, where possible, it would always be more beneficial to have a green finish. Well, they manufactured that. Firstly, they manufactured a close finish by ensuring that the field bunched so that they could all be set off for one exciting lap of racing. And when that plan actually got fucked up by the Latifi car catching fire, meaning that that plan was no longer going to work because it's now made it a safety car finish, they broke the rules to make sure that their plan could be enacted. That is what actually happened. And you know that they broke the rules, Daniel. You know that them breaking of the rules was done on purpose to manufacture that ending, and Max was the person that benefited from that. That was a clear contrivance. That was a clear contrivance. You can work it out. Red Bull have fucking done this. Yes, Red Bull did do that. They certainly were party to it, but Mercedes were definitely party to it. Definitely complicit with it. Pretended the victim. But no, they were definitely complicit with it. They had to be. They absolutely had to be. And the fact that they didn't challenge it properly, the fact that they were then party to this gaslighting of a steward's appeal, that's an entire facade. The fact that they dropped their chance of actually getting it right. They've made a lot of money out of it, haven't they? They were definitely part of it. If you think otherwise, Toto, you've got enough money to take me to court, haven't you? Take me to court for libel, Toto. Let's see you in court. Okay? Get your fancy lawyer. Get a better one than the one that you sent into that Abu Dhabi appeal, because I'll rip that prick apart. Anyway.
Okay, Martin, just if you could, just précis the mistakes that Michael Massey made on the night.
The standout for me there is that every single team and driver felt the system was against them at some point.
Let's project it that way, Martin. Everybody felt there was something against them. Really? It was a shootout. It was just two cars that were shooting out, weren't it? So why was every team concerned? Why were they bothered? They're racing along, okay? Some of them are under threat of being overtaken by other cars, right? Some of them, if there is a restart, they're likely to lose position. Why are they desperate for a restart when it's, well, actually a safety car finish should be better for us because then we don't come under attack and we get to maintain our existing position? Oh, they all think it's against them, don't they, Martin?
Even Max and Red Bull, literally moments before he became the world champion. So
no, because it wasn't literally moments before he became the world champion, Martin. It was on lap 56, the 58 lap race, where as they were approaching turn 5, cancel that, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. And it's going down the straight towards lap 6 on lap 56, where that message was that message exchange was happening. And then it was later around lap 56 where that then got played to us. It's classic. I'm not surprised. Typical decision. Poor Max. Poor Red Bull. Wasn't literally before he became world champion, was it?
I think the car took too long to get out of the way. I know.
You think it took too long to get out of the way. How long is too long, Martin? You see? And this is very key. Too long for the plan, you see. Too long for the plan to work. That's where too long comes into this. Because when a car crashes, how long does it take to clear it up? And what is too long? Right? See, how long it takes is how long it takes. Right? How long it takes is, firstly, what you've got to do, you've got to get that field of cars under control. So you react to the situation as race control saying, hazard on track, and we need to deal with this. So firstly, we get waved yellow flags immediately by the marshals at the location. Race control then have at their disposal, how are we going to deal with this? Are we going to use the virtual safety car? Can it be cleared under just a yellow wave flags, single or double wave yellow flags? Do we need to actually escalate to virtual safety car? Do we need to deploy the safety car? This is a situation where we're going to need a vehicle on track to recover that vehicle. We've got to deal with this under a safety car. Okay, where is it? I'm going to announce the safety car. Okay, so safety car, all competitors, safety car, everybody slow down to your delta, everybody. And now we need to release that safety car onto track so that it joins the track and will pick up that lead car. Once it picks up that lead car, everybody will be traveling to a delta, and eventually they will, when they get past a certain period after that safety car deployment, the delta will no longer apply, and the cars can then travel to catch the car in front of those cars in front of the safety car. They'll continue around the track and link up with that safety car snake. Once we've got this situation under control, once we're satisfied the cars are moving at appropriate speed, we can then deploy a recovery vehicle onto the track, such as a crane, to lift up the stricken car and remove it from the track into a safe area, a pre-designated safe area. Any then debris on the track needs to be swept to ensure the racing surface is safe to race on, not going to cause any punctures of any of the car's tyres, and not going to be any other debris on the track that is going to likely to be flicked up and potentially pierce a visor and go into a driver's face or fly off into the crowd and injure a spectator or a marshal. And also the track surface needs to ensure that if there's any oil on there, if there is any fire extinguisher powder, then it needs to be dealt with accordingly. All right, needs to be something put onto it and then swept off to ensure that the grip level on the track is deemed acceptable. Also, what needs to take place is if barriers have been hit, we need to check the integrity of the barriers to make sure that they are capable of withstanding the kind of impact that they are designed to absorb to protect those cars, those drivers, sorry. All that needs to take place. How long is too long, Martin? You see, it's not too long. It's just a case that's what happens. We use a safety car whilst all of that goes on. And if that takes 3 laps, that takes 3 laps. If that takes 4 laps, that takes 4 laps. If it takes 5 laps, it takes 5 laps. How long is too long? You see, too long is when you have a plan and it doesn't go to plan. It takes longer than was planned, Martin.
And so I think the car took too long to get out of the way. I know that marshals were complaining that the cars, the on track, the race cars were coming through too fast. They were uncomfortable. We had a
so he's trying to blame the marshals for not doing it quick enough because they were blaming the cars. The cars on track were coming through too fast.
Truck on the track, which we know we're super sensitive about in motorsport.
We'll go back.
I know that marshals were complaining that the cars that on track, the race cars, were coming through too fast. They were uncomfortable. We had a truck on the track, which we know we're super sensitive about.
We're super sensitive about that because Gil Bianchi died, Martin. Yeah, and that was a crane that wasn't even on track. A driver, Gil Bianchi, when another car was being recovered with a crane, Bianchi went off the track. It was in rainy conditions, but he slid off the track and into the crane. So it's not even necessarily about being on the track itself. It's being in the vicinity of the track. We make things as safe as possible.
In motorsport, you can't approach a crash Formula 1 car. It's a hybrid. The battery pack will kill you. Got rubber gloves and rubber boots on until that's safe. Then it caught fire.
And that's the bit that fucked it up. That's the thing that made it take too long, Martin. Too long. When you're defining, oh, what's an acceptable amount of length, Martin? Or what's too long, Martin? What length are you comfortable with, Martin?
Free fire extinguishers on the track. It was all taking a lot longer.
It was all taking a lot longer than what? It was taking a lot longer than what, Martin? You see, on average, 5.5 laps elapse when they deploy a safety car to deal with such an incident like that, and there are lapped cars in that race. There were only 5.4 laps of racing left when for Lewis Hamilton, the leader of that race, when Latifi crashed. But it was taking too long. Oh, yeah, they were playing the game of brinksmanship. And were it not for the brake catching fire and the deployment of that fire extinguisher, the plan would likely have worked. Okay, the plan would likely have worked. They'd have been able to legally carry out the correct procedures, and therefore the race would have restarted, having carried out those procedures, and what we actually saw, we'd have seen. And people wouldn't have been able to complain in the way we were. Like I said before, we'd have just been then been labelled conspiracy theorists, saying that we think he crashed on purpose. Somebody may have gone back into the Latifi car audio and worked out it has to be this lap, Nicholas. Oh, he was told something had to be this lap. And then there'd have been the argument, yeah, but he was told it had to be this lap. Doesn't mean he was told to crash. No, it doesn't. No, but you add all these things together. You add in his driving style. You add in the choreograph with Mick Schumacher. That's also got Mercedes ties. Got the job as the Mercedes test driver. German lad, son of Michael Schumacher, who Mercedes maybe want to protect the legacy. There's always links. There's always ties. There's conversations. You can't say that there was no link between Mick Schumacher, Toto Wolff, and Mercedes prior to Abu Dhabi 2021. So this all happened. It all happened.
On the track, it was all taking a lot longer. The teams that were lapped were all on the radio demanding. Imagine if you were receiving that lot all at the same time.
They were all demanding, were they? Now, you see, they're not all demanding. Why would they be demanding? Right? Because you talk to me about every other Grand Prix where there's a safety car deployment. Are the teams on the radio demanding to be in lap? No, they're not. And the reason that they're not, okay, or they shouldn't be, is that you do what you're told when you're told. You are told there is a safety car. Okay, safety car. We react accordingly. If we want to pit our driver for tyres, we do. We make that choice if we want to do that. Other than that, we continue lapping behind the safety car until we're told to unlap. We're not badgering them because we aren't the people in control of dealing with that recovery operation. We aren't the clerk of the course that is overseeing the clear up of the track, the safety of the marshals, restoring the track to a safe track, ensuring that the car is recovered, the debris is recovered, the barriers are checked, we're now safe. And it's only then that the race director will then, the clerk of the course will hand to the race director saying, yes, the course is now clear, now you can carry out this procedure. The teams will not be badgering race control prior to that. Now, Red Bull will be, because they've got a vested interest. They want to make sure Max Verstappen wins. Why the other teams? Why would the other teams be badgering the race director? What have they got in for it? What difference is it going to make to any of those teams? Oh, the exciting ending to keep the kiddies engaged in the show for the financial interests. To play your part in the confusion. Make out that the teams, that they all don't know. They are all saying, what's going on at race control? Play your part in the facade.
Can we overtake? Can we overtake? So the message was put out, no, you can't overtake, to bat that away. And then
the message was put out, no, you can't, to bat that away. So why would the teams be saying, why would they say, oh, can we overtake now? Can we overtake now? Can we overtake now? Oh, is it because you've had a meeting and a sub-meeting of this desire to finish under green? Hang on a minute, I thought we said we've got a desire to finish under green. You know, that fraudulent meeting that you're not allowed to construct an ending to a sporting event, that one. And now all your teams are going, I thought we'd all made this agreement. We can't do it. What you're doing means we can't do what we'd agreed to do. What are you doing? That's why they're badgering him, Martin, to bat that away. To bat that away. No, you can't overtake. Why can't you overtake to bat that away, Martin? Oh, it's because there's still marshals on the track clearing that incident away, sweeping up the debris. That's why. It's not to bat it away, all right? So all these teams that are badgering away, they're doing it because they know the little meeting and sub-meeting that they've been party to, that fraud, and they know that it can't happen, and it's not about batting that away. They're having to say, no, we can't do it, because there's still marshals on the track sweeping it up, Martin.
And try to sort out if and when the track was going to be ready. You know, I don't need to defend Michael Massey, but we're at the end of 39 Grand Prix.
I don't need to defend him, but I'm just going to make excuses for him. He was tired. Yeah, he was a bit tired. Fuck off.
In 17 months, a lot of them new venues. He was exhausted. He was under pressure, and he made some bad decisions too.
Yeah, he was exhausted. Talk me through, a junior doctor towards the end of their 80-hour week, under pressure, having to deal with saving people's lives. Yeah, he was tired. He was under a bit of pressure. Yeah, this is what these people have to deal with all the time, Martin. Not sitting in an air-conditioned little fucking box with 10 people around them looking at fucking screens, having a few people on the radio going, when are you going to get the race started? Shut the fuck up. Oh, poor. I'm not going to make excuses for Michael, but he was tired and under a little bit of pressure. Fuck off.
To expedite the system and put the two cars together. I think he was swayed by the calls from Christian Horner there saying you've got to unlap these cars. I think he was trying to do the right thing, and in doing,
he was trying to do the right thing. The right thing. You think he was trying to do what's the right thing, Martin? You see, the right thing as race director, as a referee of a football match. What's the referee of a football match doing when he's trying to do the right thing? What's the right thing to do in a football match? Oh, that's play the game by the rules, Martin, isn't it? That's what you expect from the referee in doing the right thing, playing by the rules. But you think the race director breaking the rules is doing the right thing? In whose right thing? The right thing for who, Martin? This is gaslighting. Fuck, this bloke is.
That, breach their own regulations, and the teams can't run a strategy.
Breach their own regulation. And look at the words we use. I'm going to use Damon's example as well. Breach their own regulations. And we'll use the term protocols. You'll hear that in a minute. They don't explain that it's a mandatory procedure due to the fact that the moment the leader comes and laps you and you're currently fighting the guy that you're fighting against, but now the leader's in between you and him because you got the blue flag. The guy that you're fighting will soon get the blue flag, but before the leader's got past him, so that you can carry on your fight against him, an incident has happened somewhere else, safety car has been deployed, you have to wait behind the leader, and the guy that you're fighting disappears off around the track, right? That's messed your race up completely. Therefore, we carry out this mandatory procedure, right? They never explain that to you that way. Instead, they will use, their own regulation. What's the regulation? You don't understand what the regulations, what the purpose of the regulation is. You don't understand the importance of the regulation. They call it a protocol. What's a protocol? Oh, that's just the normal way that they do something. Okay, all right. If everybody, well, that's just the way that they do something. No, there's a reason, and that reason is massively important. And nobody tells you just why it's so important that you have to do it that way. And by not telling you that it's so important that you have to do it that way, that's how they get away with convincing everybody, it was a bit confusing. It was all a bit pressurized. It was a bit confusing. Nobody really seemed to know what was going on. It was just a mistake, everybody. It's not a mistake. This shit is not a mistake.
Strategy. If the race director can overrule and just change the fundamental sporting regulations as
if even presenting if the race director is allowed to, the 15.3 gives the race director the ability to change the fundamental. No, it doesn't. That's a lie. All 15.3 actually means is the race director has the overriding authority over the safety car. That means he is the person that can select whether or not to intervene in that race for whatever reason he chooses with that safety car. Because if he sees something that he is not happy with the safety of, he can deploy that safety car on the track to deal with it. It can be a spectator on the track. It can be an animal on the track. Okay? It can be debris on the track. It can be a broken down or crashed car on the track. A protester on the track. It can be weather conditions making it treacherous on the track. He can observe what is going on and go, right, I'm not happy, something's not safe, I'll deploy the safety car. And what that also means is he can then, once he's actually selected to deploy that safety car, he is bound by the safety car regulations. Once you've elected to deploy the safety car, you must carry out these procedures that relate to the safety car deployment. Then and only then can that safety car be withdrawn, but the race director has the discretion that even having carried out those mandatory regulations, if he's still not satisfied that safety is, or sporting fairness is what it should be, he can prolong the use of that safety car. That's where his discretion is. That's all it is. And yet the world has been told differently to validate the corruption.
he sees fit. There were other meetings, mental. The race director can overrule and just change the fundamental sporting regulations as he sees fit.
What a lie. Absolutely disgusting.
There were other meetings and general agreements that we're not.
Fraud. Conspiring. And a meeting. That is parties conspiring. Getting together, making agreements to conspire outcomes.
Party 2, we don't want to finish races under the safety car or red flag if we can help it. He should have thrown a red flag.
No, you shouldn't.
5 laps to go. The problem with that is, had he have known the car was going to catch fire and how long it was going to take to get it away, the problem with that is, do you throw a red flag then?
So, because the plan was that it wasn't going to catch fire, and the plan was you could get 1 lap of racing in by doing it that way, you don't throw a red flag. But because, oh no, it's caught fire, it's not going to hurt the plan. Oh, we should have thrown a red flag so that the plan could have been worked, because it messed the plan up. So, oh, maybe we should have thrown the red flag. No, that's not why you use a red flag, Martin. You use a red flag when the track is not passable. You cannot take a snake of Formula One cars behind a safety car through that incident because the track is blocked. That's when you'd red flag it. When the medical car is deployed and you need to treat an injured person at the scene of the incident, you don't want a snake of cars coming by that person that's receiving medical attention every few minutes. Human life is far more important than the spectacle. So you would red flag a situation to try and save people's lives. And the third reason for using a red flag, Martin, is if having recovered the car, if having 3 to 4 laps into the safety car situation, you've realised actually this barrier is significantly damaged. We are going to have to do some significant repairs to this. Those are going to likely to take 5 to 10 minutes, which are likely to take another 3 to 4 laps behind the safety car out of this race. And we don't want to take those further laps out of the race. So we will red flag it to avoid that situation, because what is actually acceptable for a safety car window in terms of safety car period is anything up to about 6 or 7 laps. That's fine. We see that happen. 6 or 7 laps can be lost out of a race in dealing with a safety incident and dealt with behind a safety car. But if you realise after 3 or 4 laps that, oh, actually, we're going to have to spend another 10 or 15 minutes doing this, that is going to mean another 5 or 6 laps being taken out above what's already gone. Let's just red flag that and prevent those further laps being taken out. But anything 5, 6, even up to 7 laps, well, that's just normal. That's just the normal safety car procedure. That's what it takes. And that is deemed to be an acceptable number of laps to be neutralised from a race. Often, when there's multiple safety car deployments in a race, more laps than that are actually neutralised from actual racing. You don't see the full 58 laps all raced. You see several of them neutralised. Now, when they're neutralised mid-race or neutralised towards the end of the race, oh, we can't have it towards the end because that doesn't excite the kiddies as much. No, we have to contrive it for that.
Every time there's a crash, 5 laps before the end of a Grand Prix, is that the precedent you set going forward?
No, Martin, because then teams can manipulate it to cause a crash, get their driver to then cause a crash with their second driver, enabling their first driver to then catch the distance they are behind the leader, so that when the race then does get restarted, they're right there able to challenge rather than being 20 seconds behind them. No, it's a tool of manipulation, so you don't do it that way, Martin.
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? The timing didn't help him with 5 laps to go, but I see great insight from that team.
The timing didn't help with 5 laps to go, so later, that's what they planned, Lazenby. That's why it had to be this lap.
Radio, but you got an indication of maybe it was the dithering there. So first of all, he said the lap cars are not allowed to overtake. Max said, what a surprise. Then 5 cars allowed to overtake, but only those 5 cars, not the 3 that were lapped in behind Max Verstappen. And finally, the safety car was called in a lap earlier than it should have been. Maybe that.
There you go. Why are we saying maybe? Maybe.
That's the crux of it. The fact that if they'd actually followed the protocols to the letter of the law.
Followed the protocols. Look at the language used. The protocols to the letter. Okay? And again, it's like, oh, is this just like a... Do we have to do that procedure? Does it have to be done exactly that way? Protocol to the letter? They're not explaining the massively important nature of it.
The regulations, it should have finished under the safety car, Damon.
Yeah, I think
perhaps if they'd have had to do that, it should have finished under the safety car, Damon. This is the way that they present it.
you're absolutely right. I think the radio calls we just listened to is absolutely fascinating and very revealing of the fact that Michael Massey and the rules and the decisions he was making were changing by the second, and they were changing.
The rules were changing by the second. They weren't
Changing by the second because he had the ambition of not finishing under the safety car. At the same time,
why would the referee have an ambition? The referee has just got to oversee the event and apply the things that he has to apply. It's not about having an ambition. Hasn't got a way of a responsibility to contrive an ending to it for entertainment, has he? No, he's just got to oversee the event and referee it. Well, it's not even referee. The stewards make the refereeing decisions as such. He oversees it on the grounds of safety and sporting fairness.
Wanting to not ruin this World Championship.
But what do you mean, ruin the World Championship? Why do you think it's being ruined, Damon?
Car. At the same time, wanting to not ruin this World Championship showdown. He had a lot to deal with. And
Michael Massey didn't want to ruin the World Championship showdown. Now, what was happening in that World Championship showdown? Lewis Hamilton was smashing the other guy, almost 12 seconds ahead of him. What's ruined that showdown, everybody? What's ruined the showdown? Who? I didn't feel it was ruined. 5 laps to go, 12 seconds in the lead. I'm on the verge of watching history. I'm on the verge of watching a guy become a record-breaking 8-time world champion. Having, off the back of a season where the other guy's been favoured all season, given every advantage, allowed to break the rules of the sport, right? And Hamilton's still overcome him. And we don't want to ruin that showdown, do we? Whoa, who's it ruined for? Oh, it's only ruined for Max because he's not winning. And the race director doesn't want to ruin it for everybody, does he? Who's he ruining it for?
I think he buckled under the pressure from both teams, who were...
From both teams. From both teams. Yeah, Toto wanted a showdown, didn't he? He didn't want it. Didn't want to ruin it for Lewis, that was winning by 12 seconds.
On the radio, and this is something that they're going to look at and say you cannot have, people as powerful as Toto Wolff and Christian Horner badgering the race director when he's trying to sort out the race.
Oh, now let's divert and deflect to the communications between the teams and the race director. Let's put it on that, shall we? No.
I mean, he came under enormous pressure. Martin is absolutely right.
The pressure, just like the junior doctors on the 80 hours a week plus and having to try and battle to save people's lives. It's enormous pressure. Poor old Michael Massey sat there in his air-conditioned office looking at a TV monitor with 10 people around him. Oh, the pressure. How can that man cope? Jetting around the world every couple of weeks to sit there and oversee a Formula One race. It's enormous pressure. And to do that off the back of 37 of that, doing that 37 times in 2 years. Oh, I'm not making excuses for him, but what a tough life Michael Massey has and gets handsomely paid for doing. Yeah, poor Michael. He had to go to university to do a medical degree for 5 years, and then he had to be a junior doctor and work over 80 hours a week, and be in life or death situations. Poor Michael.
Had a lot on his plate, and he needs backup. I think that it was.
He's got backup. He's got 10 people in race control with him in that air-conditioned room, all looking at their monitors as well.
It's fair with in the past we had Charlie Whiting and Herbie Blash was back.
Yeah. You're just repeating what Martin has said. Yeah, you're all just repeating what each other said.
Picking him up, so he had his mate next to him who could help.
Yeah, and you're pretending that he's not got 9-10 other people next to him in race control now, Damon.
And I think that it was just an awful mess at the end, and it's left this chaos and a sense of,
it was a mess, it was chaos, a sense of
dissatisfaction about how
dissatisfaction. Right, this has gone on longer than I anticipated, but most of my videos do. I am going to do the video of breaking down these driver audios and show you that their mashup was all bullshit. Alright, so check back for that, because when I get the chance to do it, I'm not going to do it tonight, now it's late, but I will go through and demonstrate exactly what and when them drivers actually said what they said, because it's not how they just mashed it up for us all. Thank you all for your time. Cheers.